Okay. Well, very good morning, guys. Fine. So last day just been explaining you about exceptions and exception. We're talking about exceptions. So what did I say? We have runtime errors, and when runtime error occurs, the programs are abnormally terminated. And I explained to you who is responsible for the abnormal termination. For this abnormal termination, exceptions are responsible. What is an exception? Class. Exception is a class. An instance of the class will perform an abnormal termination of a program actually. Okay. And one more thing I said, your class means, remember, it's not a single class. It is not a single class. We have multiple classes, each class representing a different exception. We have multiple classes there, and each class representing a different type of exception. Okay, like different classes are there, and each class will be representing you different types of exceptions to you in this case now. Okay, so fine. So what is the parent class of all the classes? Is it exception? Under the two child classes are there here. What are the two childs? And actually understand that these are two different categorizations of the exceptions. One is application exceptions is one category, and the second one is, and whatever we are discussing in the last session are all under system exceptions. Whatever we are discussing in the last session are all under what? System exception. What is the other one? Application exception. We'll talk about application exceptions after complete the discussion about the system exceptions. But whatever we discussed in the last session, all are what? System. Later we'll talk about application. There are two different categorization. Under application exception, there are no childs. But under system exception, we have child classes. Recollect yourself one day in the inheritance video you watched. Person, student, staff. Under student, we don't have childs. But under staff, we have two child classes again. Teaching, non-teaching. Guys, under teaching, also I can have two child classes. Permanent staff, temporary staff also. Permanent teachers, temporary teachers also can be there. Yes or not? Chances are there. Like this, we can have subclasses available. So under system exception, formal exception is a subclass. Null reference exception is a child class. Index out of range is a child class. Arithmetic is a child class. Again under arithmetic, what do we have? Overflow exception, divide by 0. Is it clearer or not? So this is how basically the exception classes are defined. This is how exactly the exception classes are defined for you. Okay? Fine. Well and good. Now, as I said to you in the last class, guys, there are two things what every exception class does. What is the first one? And abnormal termination is common for all. So the logic for abnormal termination is defined in this class now. So all child classes inherit from that logic. Tomorrow, if I define a new class, inherit from exception, my class also can perform a abnormal termination. Did you understand me? Can I define a class inheriting from application exception? Yes or no? System exception? Format exception. Array, you define a class inheriting from any classes here. Automatically, exception is your top class now. So all classes can perform abnormal termination. Understood or not? These are predefined. Tomorrow you can also define user-defined classes. You define a new class, inherit from any of the classes what are listed here, and all classes will get the capability of performing abnormal termination. But the second thing is, okay, sir, abnormal termination is fine. What about the error message? You want to display an error message also? Same error message or different error message? If it is same error message, I don't require these many number of classes here. One class is enough. But you want a different error message to be propagated for each and every error. Am I right? For that reason, in the exception class, what did they do? You know, they have defined one virtual read-only property called message. It's a virtual read-only property, not read-write property, read-only. So under the property, they have implemented the error message code. Under the property, they have implemented the error message code. That's a virtual property, guys. Means already implementation is available in the exception class. So child classes may implement, may not implement. If child class doesn't implement, what error message is propagated, you know? The exception message present in the exception class. If child class override it, then what will propagate? The error messages of the child class. So just have a look at it. Read this first. Did you understand that one? What is that it is telling you? The logic for abnormal termination will be present in the exception class. So this is inherited automatically to all child classes. Next. The exception class also contains a virtual read-only property message to publish the error message. And because this property is virtual, all the child classes can override it as per their requirements to display a different error message. Or else the parent class, what is the parent class? Exception. Error message gets. If you don't override here, what will execute? Parent class, na? Parent class has some message in it. That message will be displayed. What is the message in the parent class, you know? Error in the application. That's all. It won't tell you what is the error, nothing. What is the implementation? Error in the application. If child class doesn't override the property, what message will be propagated, you know? Error in the application. That's it. Is it descriptive? Is it descriptive? Not descriptive now, because that is not descriptive. All child classes go for overriding it and just re-implements the logic for you under the child class according to their requirements. Okay, I'll show you that only. See how exception classes are implemented in our libraries. We are not implementing. What are we learning? How they are implemented in the libraries is what we are learning. So guys, what is the first class? Look at the first class. Public class exception. There is a constructor. What is present in the constructor? Logic for abnormal termination. Next. There is a public virtual string message. It's a virtual read-only property. What is the error message? See? Now tell me, it's a virtual property. Overriding by the child is mandatory or optional? Optional. If a child doesn't override, what will happen? Parent property will execute now. What is the message? Error in the application. If a child overrides, then child. If child doesn't override, then parent. If it is abstract, what is the problem, you know? It is abstract. This class also will become abstract. This class also will become abstract. And the problem is, it becomes mandatory for the child classes to override. If the child class doesn't override, it will throw error. Now it is not strict in the child classes. Giving a chance to the child class. You may do, you may not do. Understood the difference? Abstract will do restriction. You must do. But virtual doesn't restrict you. What it will tell you? It will give you a chance. If you want to do it. Otherwise, leave it. Are you clearer or not? Okay. So that's the difference what we have between virtual and abstract. Okay. Now, what is the next child? Okay, leave it. We'll talk about application exception. Next child. Inheriting from? What is the logic under system exception is irrelevant for us. It's only a categorization. It's only a categorization. That's why, see, all of you, look at the system exception code. Array, I did not write anything, just a categorization. Sir, no logic, nothing. No need, nah. If I don't write, message property will come now automatically. All child classes doesn't require to override. Yeah, if they don't override, parent will execute there. Are you clear? And directly we don't use system exception anywhere. Because I said to you, that's only a categorization. Now, under that, what we have seen? The format. Do you remember yesterday when we get a format exception, we got an error message? Input string was not in a correct format. Input string was not in a correct format. That's the message what you got when you got a format exception yesterday. Okay. So here we got an index out of bounds exception. We got message like array index out of bounds. Understood? We got an overflow exception. Do you remember the message? It displayed a message. The value given for the internet is too large or too small. What is the too large or too small? Nothing else. I entered some 10, 15 or 28 there. We got error. Yes or not? What is too large? Yes, yeah. If it is a positive integer, too large. Suppose if it is minus before, it's too small. That's why it will tell you too large or too small. Okay. So you can verify once the error messages. Run this code. Guys, careful. When you're running this, don't run using F5. If you run using F5, it's a debug mode. Means when the code is executing, error coming, it will show you in the studio like this. It will show you the message in the studio. What is that? Exception unhandled. What exception? What is the error message? Index was outside the bounds of the array. Okay. You want to see this on screen. On screen, not like this. Control F5. Are you clear? Control F5 and run. Don't use F5. If you run F5 also, you'll see. But in the studio, it will be coming for you. But on screen, if you want to see, Control F5. Watch the error message. Index was outside the bounds of the array, right? Yeah. Input string was not in a correct format. Correct? Read the message. Value was either too large or too small for an int 32. Are you getting me or not? So these classes are predefined in the libraries actually. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. They're writing some message to you there. Okay, so observe it now. So here we looked at the first two classes. What are the first two classes? One is exception. What is the logic? Constructor, they implemented the logic. Sir, why in the constructor? Because you learned in the inheritance classes, when you create the instance of any class, first it goes and calls it constructor. Yes or not? If there is inheritance, that will go and call the parent constructor. Understood my point here? If I create the instance of overflow exception class, first the control goes to overflow exception class constructor. That will in turn call arithmetic exception constructor. That will in turn call System exception constructor. That will in turn call. Logic is present there. Abnormal termination completed. Finish. Understood or not? Because all have to call the parent constructor. So finally control goes to exception. What is the logic in the exception? Actually, exception in turn calls object. Exception in turn calls object. First object class constructor will execute. Control comes to exception class constructor. Now code in the exception class constructor executes. What is the code in the exception class constructor? Abnormal termination. Done. That is only now requirement is. Understood why did they write in the constructor now? That's why they put in the constructor. Okay. So I shown you the code of exception. I shown you the code of system exception. System exception, there is no matter what is there because there is only a categorization. We don't require to. Next class. Louder. Read, guys. That is the logic in the format exception. Overriding the message property C. That is why when you got the format exception, what is the message it printed on screen? Input string was not in a correct format. If format exception is not doing this, what is the error message on the screen? Error in the application. It will show you error in the application for you. Okay. Next. Null reference. Clearer. Null reference. Okay, that's a null reference exception. So we just got format exception. Same way, index out of range exception. Okay, I did not define that. Can you help me in defining that class? Which class? Index out of range. Will you open the mouth today? Public class index out of range exception inheriting from system exception. System exception. Next. Public override string message. Get return. Remember the error message what you got? Index was outside the bounds of the array. Index was the index is a. Something we got. Index was. Okay, now. Okay, what is the next class? That's only a categorization again. That's only a categorization. Implementation is not important for us. Implementation is not important for us. Under that again we have overflow, divide by 0, like this. See now. I'm not bothered about the implementation of which class? Arithmetic exception, because I said you want, that's only a categorization. That's only a categorization. Okay, next I have divide by 0 exception. Are you clear? Okay, so I don't have an overflow exception. Can you help me? Alright, I don't have the overflow exception class. Can you help me in defining that? Now tell me. Don't look at anything and tell me now. Public class overflow exception inheriting from arithmetic exception, not system. Arithmetic exception. Public override string message. Public override string message. Return. Get, return. Remember the error message? Overflow. Value was either too large or too small for an int 32. The value was either too large, or positive integer too large, negative integer too small for an int 32. Are you clearer? So that's the process, guys, how this class has got implemented. Got an idea now? Now tell me, answer this question. Can I define my own exception classes in the future? Can I define my own exception classes in the future? What are the steps? I'll give you a hint here. Just 2 steps here. We have done, written it now. Come on. Tell me, describe it. What are the 2 steps? Louder. I did not ask you the code. What are the steps to define? I asked you. Why are you telling me the code? Define a class, yeah. Without defining, you will inherit a class to you. Be descriptive first. Define a class. Inheriting from which exception class? Any exception class. All are exceptions only, na? What is the matter? There is no matter there. You can inherit from any exception class. Define a class inheriting from any exception class so that the new class also becomes an exception. Did you understand? What is that? Define a class inheriting from any exception class so that the new class also becomes a exception. Step 2. Override. Override what? The message property. Override the message property and provide the error message you wanted to propagate or you wanted to display. You wanted to propagate or you wanted to display. That's all. Just 2 steps what we have in defining our own exception classes. That is a simple process how you can perform this one. First step is defining a class. Second step is overriding the property. We will do it, guys, in the next class. That's why I've just reminded you. We are going to do that in the coming sessions. We are going to define our own exception classes. Okay. Now, what happens basically, all these are classes, fine. How do abnormal termination occur? Abnormal termination occur through the objects of these classes, through the instances of these classes. But now the big question will be like, sir, you're telling exception will occur because of the instances of this class. Good. But who is creating the instance? I did not create it anywhere. Did you? Come on. Did you create the instance of any of these classes? You did not create. But still exceptions are occurring. Who is going to create the instances of these classes? Are you clearer with my question? What is the question? Who creates instances of exception classes? Who is going to create the instance of an exception class? Okay. So let's try to understand who is going to create the instance of an exception class. Actually, do you remember this picture, all of you? In the initial classes, we just discussed about this particular picture before programming. What's it? CLR architecture. In this, I said you various components are there which are responsible for different actions. These are your libraries. Are you clear? We did not still come across it. A type checker. What is the type checker? You're using it every day. Can I assign a non-integer value to an integer? Can I assign a non-integer value to an integer? Type checker is the one which is responsible to verify that. Exception manager. Okay. Security engine. We discussed about the security engine earlier, remember? Responsible for managing the security of your application. Your applications are not allowed to interact with the OS directly or OS to directly interact with the applications directly. It is completely restricted. Debug engine. You're using the debug engine every day. F9, F10, F11, all these F5, nothing but the debug engine. And now, this is what we have. Already we completed discussion on garbage collector, right? And already we discussed on JIT compiler. I explained you the concept also to you. Conversion gradually during the program's execution. In the introduction classes, I explained you all. Okay. And class loader. Basically, this class loader is responsible in loading the required classes. You are using string class. String is a predefined class. So this class loader is responsible for loading the class for execution now. Understood me? Initially, I explained only 3 components there for you. What are the 3, Security engine, JIT compiler, garbage collector. But I said you, going forward, you will understand about the use of each and everything. Are you clearer or not? So what is the use of class loader? Loading the library classes for execution now. Okay, garbage collector, I explained you last week for you in detail. JIT compiler, I already explained for you in the introduction classes. Security engine also, I explained you. Debug engine, every day you are doing debugging, that is responsible for this. Type checker, you know that. It is a strictly type sensitive. If you give a wrong type, you get error. This type checker is responsible. And class libraries, every day we are consuming the libraries. These are the libraries. Class loader will load that libraries now. These are the libraries here. What class loader will do? Load the libraries for execution. And the next important component what we have here is, this is one which is we require to understand. So what exactly is this exception manager? Remember, when your applications are executing do you remember all our applications run under the control of CLR? All our applications will run under the control of CLR, the common language runtime. The CLR is the execution engine of the .NET runtime, where it will be monitoring all our applications now. Now inside of it, we have a exception manager. Now listen, you have written a program. You have written a small program like this. Just a minute. I'll change the code here. I want to change the code in the program. I think I'm just changing the code in the program. Simple code. Just have a look. What am I doing? See? I'm prompting the user to enter 2 numbers. And once the user enters the 2 numbers, I am printing those values on screen. Dividing and printing. I'm dividing and printing. Simple logic. Run. 100. 5. Perfectly executed. Result is 20. Okay, na? Result is 20. It is just going to show you afterwards. End of the program. No issues with this. But now see, I'm giving 100. I'm giving 0. Can you divide a number by 0? You cannot divide a number by 0 now. We learned in the school days only. You cannot divide. 0 cannot be a divisor at any point of time. So this is an error. This is an error. Correct? So now you're given 100 and 0. Hit enter. Okay. Now all of you listen. Your program is executing under the supervision of the CLR. Your program is executing under the supervision of the CLR. Under the CLR, okay, so many components are there. Each one will be responsible for a different activity for you there now. The whole combination is called CLR. Under CLR, we have different components responsible for this. Under that, we have a component, just now we checked that. What is it? Exception manager, right? Yes or not? So the exception manager, what it will do? It will be focusing on the execution of your code. It will be focusing on the execution of the code actually. So when you enter 0 and hit enter, that action is invalid. You cannot divide the number by 0. So immediately exception manager comes into action. Exception manager comes into action. This is an invalid thing. You can't do this. This is a invalid thing. You cannot do this. You can't do this now. This is invalid. Are you getting me or not? So what is it going to do? What the exception manager comes and does, it will verify what is the problem now. What is the problem? The user is trying to divide the number by 0. This is an invalid action. Now, do you remember what is the class associated with this? What is the class? We learned about a set of few classes right now. Na? What is the class associated? Divide by 0. The class associated is divide by 0. So what exception manager will do, exception manager will now pick that class from the libraries. Pick that class from the libraries. Creates the instance of that class. Creates the and throws that instance. It will create the instance of the class and throws the instance. The instance that is thrown by the exception manager will now perform abnormal termination of the program. So what is our point here? Who is creating the instance? That is what we raised. You understood who is creating the instance? Who is creating? Exception manager creates the instance and throws the instance. The instance that is thrown by the exception manager will do its job. What is its job? Abnormal termination. After abnormal termination, second thing, display the error message that is associated with that class object now. Which class is thrown? Divide by 0. What is the error message associated? Attempted to divide by 0. Are you guys clearer? Open the mouth and answer, yeah. What do you have in the mouth? I don't know. You irritate me a lot. So this is the class which is going to be responsible for your particular actions. So read it. Are you clear? Okay. So that's what. So exception manager will create you. Simple guys, there is a glass window before me. I have a cricket ball in my hands. And I am going to throw the ball on the glass window. I am going to throw this ball on the glass window. What happens? Once the ball goes and hits the glass breaks. Correct? Then nothing but destruction. Exactly. I thrown the ball performing a destruction. Now exception manager thrown the exception class instance performing the destruction. Both are same. Did you understand? Throwing is common. So throw the ball. It hits the glass, breaks. Destruction. Now what is happening? Throwing the exception object, performing the destruction. Is it clearer, all of you? So this is what exactly happens to you internally. So who is responsible? Exception manager is responsible. Understood what is exceptions now? Got it correctly? What is exception? Okay. Are you okay with this exception and abnormal termination? Are you okay with these exceptions and abnormal terminations? No? Yes, sir. You're okay. Let the program terminate. Not okay. Why not okay? Abnormal termination is occurring in the code now. This is not going to be right. This is not right. Are you clear? There should be a mechanism to control this. Last day I said to you, what is it? You're transferring 50,000 rupees from your account to your friend account. After withdrawing the money from your account, abnormal termination happened. Now you lost your 50,000. Okay, now? Go and sleep now. You won't even sleep peacefully now. 50,000 rupees loss. Yes or not? Okay. So that's what. So here also, put the same thing in the mind. What is it? Abnormal termination is occurring. Are you clearer? What is it? Abnormal termination is occurring. It is an abnormal termination which is going to occur for you at this particular place. So this abnormal termination is not right. I don't want the abnormal termination to happen. I want it to control it. If you want to control, you just require to now understand about the second thing, that is exception handling. Till now, I explained to you what is exception, what happens when exception occurs. The second thing what we are going to learn right now is exception handling. Is it clearer, guys? What is that? Exception handling. So what is this exception handling? Let's try to understand. Read it. Do you understand what is exception handling? Process of stopping the abnormally getting terminated. Yeah, I need to stop it now. I need to stop it now. So that's what we call as an exception handling. That's what we call it. See, an engine is running. An engine is running. When the engine is running, what happened, you got fire from that engine now. You got fire from the engine. What is the first thing you do? You'll put water on it. Huh? What you will do, yeah? You have a brain. Huh? There is an engine. The engine is burning now. What will you do? First thing is stop it. Yeah. Basic things you are not able to say. What shall I do? Simple thing only. Nah? If engine is running, it is firing now. What will you do first? Stop the power first. The first thing you'll do is stop the power. That only I'm telling you. First, you need to stop the abnormal termination. You are going to stop the abnormal termination now. How to do that? By exception handling. By exception handling. Now the question arises. What is the question? What is the advantage of exception handling? What is the advantage of exception handling? What is the advantage of an exception handling? Read it. By handling an exception, we have the following advantages. What are the following? First one, abnormal termination stops. So that statements that are related with the error can still be executed. Not related with the error can be executed. See, guys, there is a problem here. We have some 1,000 lines of code. There is a problem now, exception coming. When exception coming, abnormal termination is happening now. Yes or not? And because of that abnormal termination, the rest of the statements which are not related with the error are also suffering. Correct? The rest of the statements which are not related with the error are also suffering now. So by handling an exception, I can control that and I can still execute the statements which are not related with the error. Are you clear? So there is a classroom with a set of students in the classroom. And in that, one student is mischievous. One student is mischievous. The teacher got angry and left the class. The teacher got angry and left the class. And see now, there's a mistake here. What is the mistake? Because of that one student, you cannot make all the other students to suffer from that now. Yes or not? You may see all the other students are 50 students are there. One is mischievous. So because of that, the remaining 49 students should not suffer. Correct or not? So teacher leaving the class is like our abnormal termination of the program now. What is the right thing to do? Send the student outside. Are you clear? Send the student outside so that the remaining 49 students will not be affected by that. Are you clearer my point here? So here also the same thing. Abnormal termination stops so that statements not related with the error can still be executed. Okay. The mischievous student is sent out. So the class continues. Okay. Second step. Every exception class has a predefined error message now. The predefined error messages are designed targeting developers, not end users. Tomorrow, you're trying to insert a duplicate record into a table. You got an error, primary key violation. Will end user understand that? Will end user understand what is the primary key violation? Is an end user software engineer? Is an end user going to be a database developer? You don't know what is the primary key, you don't know what is the primary key violation now. Did you catch my point or not? So these error messages are designed targeting whom? Developer. Developer understands, but not the end user. So what you can do, you can hide those messages and you can display custom error messages to the user by handling exception. This is the second advantage. Did you catch my point? Yes or not? What we do now? Hide the predefined messages. Display user-friendly error messages to the user. Third action. Read the third one. We can do some corrective actions, guys. We can do some corrective actions to fix the problems that are going to come due to the runtime error. What are the corrective actions? Just remember, recollect the fund stands for scenario, what I explained to you. Recollect the fund stands for scenario, what I explained to you. You're transferring the funds from one account to another account. First, what happens? Money deducted from your account now. Second, money is added to the other account. Correct? So money deducted from your account now. Money deducted from your account. So what happened? There is some server error. There is some server error. So what will happen? Abnormal termination. So that what is the drawback now? You lost your 50,000 because the money is already deducted, was not deposited into the second account. Are you clear? For some reason, it was not able to deposit into the second account. So you're not ready to lose the money now. Are you clear? So what is the corrective action here? The corrective action is roll back the transaction. The corrective action is roll back the transaction. What is roll backing the transaction? You'll be learning in your SQL classes, guys. Roll backing the transaction means the changes which are performed are going to be destroyed. Again, it will come back to its original state again. That is called as rollback. Means add the money back to the source account. Are you clearer? You go to ATMs now. In ATM, you're trying to withdraw some money. When you withdraw money, two actions are performed. Action one, money is given to you, money is released by the machine. Action two, a message is delivered to your mobile. Correct? What happens first? Message will be delivered first, money will be released first. Or otherwise, just a minute. Not like money is released to you and the database is updated. Next message comes. Okay. Second action is updating the database. First action, releasing the money. Second one, update. Which one performs first? Updating the database first or releasing the money first? Updating the database, not releasing the money. Why updating the database? Guys, understand here. Money is released. It could not update the database. What is the problem now? I withdrawn 50,000 rupees from my account now. Money came to me. But for some reason, database was not able to be updated. Are you clear? How will it get back the money? Will the ATM pull the money from your hands? No, there is no option. Or are you so genuine? What is that? The money not deducted from your account. Tomorrow you go to the bank and give the money back. No one will do that. Yes or not? Okay. So point is, first it will update the database. Afterwards releases the money. For some reason, if anything fails, what can fail? Releasing the money failed. Automatically the transaction roll back and the money is added back into your accounts now. Yes or not? So understand, these are the two combination actions there. Updating database is done first. After databases are updated, money is released to you. For any reason, if the money could not be released to you, what happens? Transaction is rolled back and automatically the money is added to your account. Within fraction of seconds, you will receive a message. Correct or not? Within fraction of seconds, this happens to you. That's what the third one is. corrective actions can be performed to fix the problems that are going to come due to the runtime error. Are you clear with the three advantages of handling an exception? Tell me. Now the next question is fine. How to handle the exception then? How to handle the exception? To handle an exception, we need to enclose code under two special blocks known as try and catch blocks, which should be used as below. How? Try. Open the curly braces and write some statements here. What statements? Statements which are going to cause the runtime errors. Second, statements which doesn't require execution when the runtime error occurs. See, there are some statements which will cause error here. There are some statements which should not execute when the error got occurred now. What is that? Look here. This is the code. Suppose in the place of x, I'm entering a non-numeric value. Will I get an error or not? Tell me fast. If I get an error, is it any requirement? Is it necessary to ask you the second number now? If first number is wrong, is it necessary to ask you the second number? No, na? That is what. If an error occurs, I don't want these statements to execute. Do you understand the second thing now? Okay. What is the first one? Which are causing errors. Second one, related to that. So if that code doesn't execute, I don't want this code also to execute now. Next, catch. What you should write here? The name of the exception class you wanted to handle. Next, a variable. Next here. Like what statements you are displaying user-friendly error messages? Rollbacking the transactions, all that should be in the catch block means that code should execute only when error occurs. Without an error occurring, will you roll back the transaction? When you roll back the transaction, when there is an error, when you display an error message, when there is an error, all that code will come into the catch blocks. Okay, let us see now. Let's just try understanding this code now. Runtime error and exception both are same. Did I say that? Did I say that runtime error and exception both are same? What did I explain you? Errors are two types, compile time errors and runtime error. When runtime error comes, abnormal termination will happen. And who is responsible for abnormal termination means exception is responsible. That is what I said, you know. Then how runtime error and exception both are same, Raju? See, there is an accident on the road. Because there is an accident on the road, police came there. Stopped the traffic. Are you clear? Now you are telling that accident happened because of police here. The accident did not happen because of the police now. Because there is an accident, police came there. Did you get my point or not? Because there is a runtime error, exception came there. And you are telling runtime error is exception now. They are not. Are you clear? So many of the people think like exception is a runtime error. Wrong. Exception is not a runtime error. When runtime error occurs, exception came there to perform a abnormal termination. When there is an accident there, police came there for performing a traffic control. Did you catch my point or not? Okay. So that's what the point here. So the point to understand is exception is a class that comes into picture when there is a runtime error. So tomorrow someone asks you in an interview, what is the runtime? What is an exception? Don't say exception is the runtime error. Exception is a class. That is the answer. Exception is a class which comes into action to perform an abnormal termination when there is a runtime error in the program. Both are not same. Is it clear? Okay. Fine. Yeah, this is our program now. Now, let's try to handle exception here with a try catch now. Okay, let me add a new class, guys. I will name this class as try catch demo. Try catch demo. Guys, I'm copying the same code. This code only I'm copying here and I'm putting in this new class. Now I want to handle the exception. Okay, we'll handle the exception here. If you want to handle the exception, you're required to write try and catch. If you want to try and catch, the first thing you're required to do is identify that first. What statements are going to cause the runtime error? Okay, come on, tell me, will this statement cause any error? The first line? No. Second line? Yes. Yes, non-numeric value or overflow, anything. Third line? No. Fourth line? Yes. Fifth line? Fifth line? Yes, na, divided by 0. Sixth line? No. That's not going to cause any error. 7? No. So in this, what are going to cause the error? Int x equal to int y is equals to int z is equals to 3 are going to cause the error now. So that's why I'm starting a try block here and I am putting this code inside of it. You may be having a question here. What is the question? Sir, why did you put this? This is not going to cause an error. That's not going to cause an error, but related, yeah. That sequence cannot change. I can't put it outside now. All this code is related now. So I put in a try. What next? Next one. Louder. Not catch here. We have one more thing now. What is that? Statement which doesn't require execution when the runtime error occurs. Correct? Now tell me, all of you, if the error occurs, do you want this line to execute? No. Why? When error occurs, how can I print the result now? I don't want that statement to execute when the error occurs. So let it bring into this one. When the error occurs, do you want this statement to execute? Yes. Why no? Is it related with your error? Huh? Yes, I want to execute. That's not related with my error at all. I understand. Yeah, this is related with error. Not this one. This is independent of itself. What is it telling you? End of the program. Understood my point? So that is not having any relation with the error. If error occurs, I don't want this code. Now all of you carefully observe what did I write? Statements causing the error. What is the error? Int x equal to? Int y is equals to? Int z is equal to. Second one, statements which doesn't require execution when the error occurred. Correct? If an error occur on this line, I don't want these 4 lines to execute. Correct or not? If an error occurs on this line, I don't want these 2 statements to execute. If an error occurs on this line, I don't want this statement to execute. Are you getting me? If there is any unnecessary statement in the try, that is the first line. That's all. Remaining all must be in the try only. What is the first line? Enter first number. Anyhow, that doesn't have any error. So even I put it in the try block or don't put it in the try block also, no matter. But to tell all this code is related with each other, I put that code in the try block. Understood all of you? Okay, what next? Catch. Catch. You're required to now tell the exception class you wanted to handle now. Guys, I wanted to handle divide by 0 exception. I wanted to handle what? Divide by 0 exception. What next? A variable ex. Okay, what should I write? When error occurred, what statement you wanted to print? When the error occurred, I want to give a message to user. I want to give a message to user. What message? Divisor value cannot be 0. I want to give a message to the user. What message? Divisor value should not be 0. Is it descriptive or not? Yes or not? Then write your message here. Console dot write line. Value to divisor. Value of divisor cannot be 0. Understood my point here? So we are going to display this message. See, listen, one more thing. What you know? Sometimes you wanted to show predefined error message only. Sometimes you wanted to show predefined error message. I don't want to give my own message there. What I want to do is I want to show predefined message only. If that is the case, simply say console.writeLine ex.message. Remember, your class has a message property already. That predefined message is printed. Okay, first let us see this. Run the code. What is the name? Try catch demo. $100. 5. Any error? Result of the division is 20. End of the program. Everything is perfect now. Okay. Now 100. 0. Any error? So exception manager comes into action, creates the instance of the class. Which class? Which class? Divide by 0. After creating the instance, what it will do? Throw the instance. It will throw the instance. And now that instance which is thrown by the exception manager is coming to perform an abnormal termination, right? That's what I explained to you. Yes or not? But now your code is in try catch now. Even though your code is in try catch, the execution will be same. What same? Now also exception manager comes into action. Now also exception manager identifies the error. Now also exception manager creates the instance of the class. And now also exception manager throws that instance. All these are common. Are you clear? But the difference is when the exception manager is throwing the instance, when the exception manager is throwing an instance, before that instance performs an abnormal termination, my catch block will catch that instance. See, I given an example to you. There is a glass window. I have a cricket ball. I will throw this ball on the glass window. What will happen? Once the ball hits the glass, glass breaks, correct? Before it hits the glass, someone caught the ball, guys. Before it hits the glass, someone caught the ball. Now tell me, when someone catch the ball like this, now also abnormal termination will happen, huh? Tell me. No, abnormal termination will not happen now. Or otherwise, sorry, now also will the glass break, huh? No, glass won't break. Exactly same thing I'm telling you now. Exception manager throws the instance, but my catch block which is present here will catch that instance now. Which class instance? Divide by 0. Can you store the instance of a class in the variable of the same class or not? That is now stored in EX. Where is it stored? EX. So that is stored in EX. What is EX now? Reference. EX is a reference. Now EX.message should print you that error message. Watch out. There is no abnormal termination. What is the proof? The proof is end of the program got printed to you. Till now, end of the program never printed for you when an error occurred, correct? Now it is printing. Means what? There is no abnormal termination in the code. It was controlled. Are you clear? I repeat my things here. What is it? When you put the code in try catch block, now also exception manager identifies the error. Now also exception manager picks the class and creates the instance. Now also exception manager throws the instance. But what is the difference? Because the code is in the try catch block, the exception thrown by the exception manager is caught by the catch block, stopping the abnormal termination. So abnormal termination stops there. Once abnormal termination stops there, what will happen? The rest of the code will execute for you and printing you end of the program. See there? It executed the code in the catch block now. Are you clear? To understand that is an error message. To understand that is an error message, let me do one thing. Console dot for color is equals to color dot console color dot red. Console color dot white. Okay, see 100, 5. No error, no? Normal output is printed. Now see 100, 0. There is an error now. To highlight you, I shown you. Error message is printed. Watch it now. What is error message? Attempted to do. That is predefined or user friendly? predefined. That's what I said here. No, sir, I don't want this predefined or message. I want to make it much descriptive. Okay, you can do. Don't print this. Value of divisor cannot be a 0. The value of divisor cannot be 0. So I'm giving 100 and I'm giving 0. I hope you are clear. What is it showing you? Value of divisor cannot be 0. Are you clearer? Okay. Now basically guys, when you look at the code there, EX, that EX is showing you a warning. EX is showing you a warning, green line. What is that? You declared it, but you did not use it anywhere. Earlier, we used it, ex.message. Now I did not use. So we declared it, not used anywhere, right? So this variable declaration here is only optional. If you don't want to consume it, don't declare it. See the syntax. Are you clearer or not? You want to use it in your code, then only declare it. Otherwise, don't declare it. Implicitly, it gets declared and stored. Implicitly, it gets declared and stored. What is the name of it? None of your business. You don't want to use it now. Then why you want to know what is the name of it now? Got the point or not? You want to use it. Then you want to use it. Then you want to know the name of it. When you don't want to use it, there is no point of knowing the name of it. That is the key point, what I'm just trying to tell you. Are you clearer, guys? Understood how the exceptions are handled now? Okay. Now again, you can see 100 and I'm giving 5. There is no error. Result is printed. 100 and 0. There is an error, but still my catch block will catch the exception and executes the code to you. Any doubts? But now, what if I give a non-numeric value here? What exception occurs? Forget already. Format exception. What exception occurs? Is the catch block capable of catching that format exception? Is the catch block capable of catching the format exception? The ball is thrown here, but the person who is standing there is a 5-year-old kid. Can you expect a 5-year-old kid to catch a cricket ball? You throw a small you throw a small table tennis ball, he'll catch it. But you throw a cricket ball or something, he's not capable of catching that size in the force. Correct? So exactly here also, right now we have a catch block. That catch block is capable of catching only divide by 0 exception, not the format exception. So if a format exception occurs, what will happen again? Abnormal termination. Same story repeated again. What is that? Abnormal termination. Point clear, all of you? Abnormal termination got happened to you at this particular stage now. Okay. So just understand there is an abnormal termination present in your code. Okay, na? Okay. So fine. So how to control this? I'm able to handle only one exception. It's not correct. I want to handle all my exceptions. Okay. You can handle. How? Just like an if condition can have multiple else ifs, a try can have multiple catch blocks. Did you understand my point? Just like an if condition can have multiple else ifs, a try can have multiple catch blocks. Understood or not? Okay. So you have a chance of writing multiple catch blocks. See guys, what I'm doing? I'm adding one more catch block. And what is the exception I'm going to catch? Format exception. Input values must be integers. Did you understand or not? What is that? Input values must be integers. The input values are going to be integers to you in this case now. So that's what I just require to do now. So once I do that, automatically what will happen? The format exception is also going to be caught. Now watch. Any exception? No need to catch by any catch block. Are you clear? Okay, now understand. When you put your code in the try catch, the execution will take place like this. How? When there is no error in the code. No error na? Yes or not? From the last statement of try. What is the last statement of try? Console.writeLine, the result of division is. From the last statement of try, control will directly jump to the first statement that is present after all the catch blocks. From that line to this line. Means what is the meaning? All catch blocks skips execution. All catch blocks skips execution. When there is no error. When there is no error, why will catch blocks execute? No. Got it or not? So now see, the last statement of try, the first statement after all the catch blocks. Is it clear? Second scenario. When any statement of try causes an error. Now tell me, you're going to get an error now? Which statement? Which line? Second line in the try. Which line I asked? Which line? Second line in the try. There is an error now? Yes or not? When there is an error on this line, from that line, control directly jumps to the catch blocks, searching for a catch block that can handle the error. Did you understand? Because what is the meaning, The rest of the statement in try won't execute. That is what I'm telling you. There is an error on this line. The rest of the statements in try won't execute now. Where will the control jump? The control jumps to the catch blocks, searching for a matching catch block that can handle the error. If it finds abnormal termination, will stop there. Executes the code in the catch block and again jumps to the first statement after all the catch blocks. See now, what exception will come now? Format exception. Correct? Control jumps to here. Can it handle? No. Jumps here. Can it handle? Yes. Enter inside. Execute the code. Finished. The first statement after the catch blocks. Watch now. Are you clear? Yes or not? If there is no matching catch block to handle it, if there is no matching catch block that can handle the exception, abnormal termination again. Don't forget that if it doesn't find a matching catch block that can handle abnormal termination, this will cause an error. What error? Overflow. And do we have a catch block to handle? No. So abnormal termination again. Are you clearer or not? So that's why tomorrow when you're developing an application, guys, with your knowledge, with your past knowledge, you will add a set of catch blocks there. Then send the code to testing. Testers will test in different scenarios and they faced new exceptions. They faced some new exceptions and that is reported back to you. So and so exceptions came. What will you do? You will add those catch blocks now. First you added 2. Tester said another 2, totally 4 catch blocks you added. Now the code went to production. Is there any guarantee you are not going to get any other new exception other than this 4? Tell me, do you have any guarantee you are not going to get any other exception other than these 4? These 4 only will come. Tomorrow if 5th exception comes, what is the problem now? Abnormal termination again. You handled 4 here. If these 4 comes, fine. If the 5th one comes, abnormal termination again. Are you getting my point or not? There is again a danger. We don't want that only in writing all this code. But still after writing the code also, 100% it is not satisfactory. Why not satisfactory? I thought 2, but 3rd one is coming now. I thought 10, 11th one is coming now. Who knows? Is it clear? To control that, just now I said, one if can have multiple else ifs, a try can have multiple cats. An if can have multiple else ifs now, but in the last you read else. When you read else, what is the meaning? No one can escape from that. You can escape from if condition. You can escape from else if condition. But can you escape from else? Tell me. You're writing a switch case. you have different cases. In the last, you have default. You can escape from all the cases, but can you escape from the default? You can't escape from them. If none of the things execute, what will execute? Default or else. Same way, here you can add a catch block in the last. What you know? Catch. The parent class use it here now. What you use? The parent class. And you all of you remember the third rule of inheritance? A child class instance can always be assigned to a parent class variable to make it as a reference, correct? Now see, whatever you get other than divide by 0, other than format will be handled by this catch block. No one can escape from this. Did you catch my point or not? No one can escape from this. Watch. I'm giving 100 and 0. First catch block got it. I given 100 Y. Second catch block is going to catch. I'm giving 100 and a value like this. Earlier we got error now. Now there is no error. See, no error message. I did not write anything there yet. Just put a catch block and left it. That's it. That is going to catch. How is it catching, sir? Because all are its child classes and parent have the capacity of holding any child class instance. Now we'll have a doubt here. What is the doubt, Sir, if this can handle everything, then what is the need of writing other catch blocks? Directly we can write this only now. Yes or not? Tomorrow onwards, don't write else ifs anywhere here. Directly write up else. Will you do? Tell me, yeah. Don't write else ifs tomorrow. Wherever you need, don't write else ifs. Directly write else. Everything will go to else now. Do you do that? Why you don't do? Because I want different type of actions to be performed here. Simple, I'll ask you a question. If I don't have these two catch blocks, what error message will you show now? Tell me. Tell me, what error message will you show you? Will you show divisor value should not be 0 or input values must be integers? What are you going to show? You're missing the clarity. Did you understand? It can handle the exception, okay, but it cannot customize the error message. So in this type of scenarios, without using a predefined error message, without customizing the error message, what we do, we use predefined message. This is the place where you require to call ex.message so that at least a predefined error message gets printed on screen. Are you clearer or not? Understood? So first two, customize. Last one, ex.message. Call it. And which message is printed? Which message is printed? Which class message is printed? Exception class message or the exception which got occurred, that class message? Parent class exception message or the message of the exception what got occurred? What I'm asking is, what is the exception that is going to occur? Overflow exception, correct? Now my question is, will it print you the exception class message? What is the exception class? Error in the application. Already shown you, na? What a message here? A value was either too large or too small. What is printed? That is my question. Parent or child? Child here. You forget inheritance. Overriding will call child class members. Na? Overriding will call parent or child. That is why they used overriding there to call child member, not the parent. So you got the error message of the child only. See. Are you getting my point? If it parent is printed, that is useless here. Error in the application. What will you understand? At least this message, you put it in Google. Google will tell you something. Array, this is the problem. But you put error in the application, Google also cannot tell anything to you now. Is it clearer? Okay. So that's what happens to you exactly. Understood how to handle the exceptions now? Yes or not? So understand, try is like your if. All your catches are else ifs. The last catch is else. Can anyone escape? No one can escape from that. Okay. Let's stop here, guys. We'll continue tomorrow. Yes, Raju. If, else.
Recording stopped.
Hmm.